Namaskar to friends of Manushi. Today is the 25th of May 2020 and it is 9 months and 20 days since the historic neutering of Article 370 and the junking of Article 35A of the Indian Constitution, which had enabled Islamist parties of J&K to create an Islamic state on the soil of secular India. Today I'm going to talk to Sushil Pandit, my very dear friend and my favorite political analyst, on the outcome of this historic development, because many people in the country are watching with great concern the many U-turns that Modi government has taken on that historic decision. Sushil Panditji, can you make sense of what's happening in Kashmir? Like many others, I'm also very confused. Why is this becoming a case of one step forward, two steps backward, three sidewards, then one more step forward, and then taking fright and reversing the impact of those historic interventions?
Frankly, even I am bewildered. How can somebody render waste something as precious, as historic, as brilliant as August 5 decision?
Do you remember we had a long conversation? It was
Yes.
so full of enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Soon after that historic day.
Yes.
And we were both so excited. I'm going to play for you a few snippets from that long conversation, reviewing the impact of scrapping of Article 370 and 35A. एक नया चैप्टर लिखा जा रहा है, पहली बार सदियों के बाद।
मुझे जाने क्या लगता है, ठीक 30 साल पहले एक दीवार गिरी थी बर्लिन वॉल। 370-35A जैसे कानून कश्मीर और शेष भारत के बीच एक संवैधानिक दीवार थे, एक मनोवैज्ञानिक दीवार थे, एक मानसिक दीवार थे, एक पॉलिटिकल दीवार, राजनीतिक दीवार थे, एक सामाजिक दीवार थी। ये सब दीवारें एक झटके में ध्वस्त कर दी गई हैं।
सही बात। Now, what mood are we in?
Yeah, so at that time, I was unwilling to look at the jagged edges. I was most willing to forgive historic transgressions. I was not even willing to recall the perfidy, the mindless decisions that had taken place in the preceding few years, when agenda for alliance was signed, when a coalition government was
Formed with PDP.
Inflicted on the state of Jammu and Kashmir and rest of India, when some of the most bizarre events took place in front of our eyes, right under the nose of this government, things like unilateral ceasefire during Ramzan, things like FIRs on our officers and Jawans,
and making the Army General apologize
publicly
for alleged human rights abuses, not just publicly, in Kashmir, before Kashmiris, and then the Prime Minister had boasted about it.
पहली बार 30 साल में पहली बार ये मोदी सरकार की कमाल देखिए, पहली बार सेना ने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके कहा कि जो 2 नौजवान मारे गए थे सेना की गलती थी, और सेना ने अपनी गलती मानी। इंक्वायरी कमीशन बैठे और जिन लोगों ने गोली चलाई थी उन पर केस दर्ज कर दिया गया। ये मेरे नेक इरादों का सबूत है मेरे भाई बहन। 30 साल में नहीं हुआ है, 30 साल में नहीं हुआ है। और इसलिए मेरे कश्मीर के भाइयों बहनों, मैं आपको न्याय दिलाने के लिए आया हूं।
in election rallies, used it as some kind of evidence.
Badge of honor.
Evidence that this is how I am positively predisposed and so beholden to the state of Jammu and Kashmir that I am willing to get the senior-most soldier in that state publicly humiliated. So I was willing to forgive, forget, and just not talk about all that, because I thought August 5 decisions had washed all those sins of omission and commission. I was even willing to not look at the ferment that had set in on the very day on the floor of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, when our Home Minister, out of the blue, offered that this union territory business is not permanent. We can always restore the state back. I was aghast. I couldn't believe myself, because making and unmaking of states is not a child's play. We do not do it as a routine on a daily basis. These are thought through decisions. These are very profound decisions. They are...
And especially with regard to Kashmir.
With Kashmir. So you are literally inviting pressure. You are asking people to come, badger our head, and we will concede. So you're signaling to the enemy that we are still very tentative, we are still very iffy, we are still very ambivalent about these things, and given the right amount of pressure, we can concede such things. You cannot afford to do that to jihad in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They grab even half an opportunity and convert it into an advantage. Now, look at what happens after 5th of August. And this is a study in contrast. On 7th of August, less than 48 hours, Pakistan expels our High Commissioner in Islamabad. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that India did not do this even when our parliament was attacked, even when Mumbai was attacked, even when State Assembly of Jammu Kashmir was attacked, even when Pathankot Air Base was attacked. Even when Kargil happened, we did not do this. We never expelled Pakistani High Commissioner. They did not take 48 hours. Now, this wasn't something that happened on a spur. First, they told Ajay Bisaria to pack up and go.
High Commissioner.
High Commissioner.
In Pakistan.
Yes, that he was not welcome anymore. So, he would have had an honorable exit. But before he could leave the Pakistani soil, he was humiliated through an expulsion. Now, when this happened, within 10 days, the client state that Pakistan is of China moves Security Council.
That's right, against India.
Against India to discuss what we had done to our constitution in our parliament.
That's right. But
now,
there we were lucky. We didn't get away with it.
Yes.
But that was not because of our pre-planning.
Yes.
Or our interventions.
The point is, if they don't succeed, is not because of something that we have done. It is because the world knows that if India is at the front line of jihad, and if India loses, the world loses.
It's a faint recognition now.
If China prevails, lately you must have seen that China's aggression, China's intrusion in Ladakh was commented upon by United States within a matter of hours. So there are some interests involved, but let me still say that India did not move Security Council when those things happened. And here Pakistan was moving Security Council through China. And China didn't do it just once. They did it thrice in a matter of months, though each time they were rebuffed. But look at what happens. While India says it is our internal matter and it is none of anybody's business, when EU is mobilized, European Parliament is mobilized to show concern over what is happening in Kashmir, our foreign minister, Mr. Jaishankar, goes to Brussels in the first half of September, perhaps 12th of September, if I'm remembering right. And there he goes and tells the European Parliament that what we did to our constitution and the provisions in constitution, what we do in Kashmir is our internal business. You have no business poking your nose in there.
And then there's amnesia about that statement.
Within a month, we are shepherding 27 members of European Parliament to Kashmir. we are violating those red lines that we draw ourselves.
That's right.
So what is the value of such assertions if we do not stick to them?
7 decades in India has held this, that Kashmir is an internal matter, a bilateral issue, and others have no business to interfere. So we bring these European
and violate that dictum ourselves.
Not only that, and we're seeking a good character certificate.
And see how ham-handed that was. We were repeatedly asked, is Government of India organizing this?
No.
We didn't have a clear answer. We were creating some kind of a fig leaf. Some lady somewhere in Europe has invited, and these are on their personal visits. You know, all kinds of... yes, it came unstuck, and even European Parliament shrugged it off as not its official delegation.
That's right.
And not its official stand. So whatever little brownies we were trying to earn out of this nudge, wink kind of thing, which was neither here nor there, and which violated our own assertion from the rooftops that it is our internal matter, was becoming some kind of a joke right in front of our eyes.
But 2 more things I'd like you to deal with. Number 1, the delegation is taken only to Kashmir, not to Jammu, not to Ladakh, as if that tiny area of J&K is all that matters. Secondly, people who are propped up to meet the delegation are people without much credibility.
Yes.
So why would you do that? If you don't have credible people to present to a delegation of that sort, just keep quiet.
But guess who makes more news? Those MPs who are dumped or those who refuse to go make more news than the 27 who go.
That's right.
Press rushes to them and they say, I was dumped because I asked to be given freedom to go wherever I wish to go. And that knocked the bottom out of all this ham-handed charade that, Government of India was trying to put together. Then it didn't stop at just that. We started conducting tours of envoys in Delhi.
That's right.
2 batches went. They were given boat ride on Dal Lake. Again, curated delegations came and met them. Again, they were shown around like sightseeing groups. To what avail? Only to blow to smithereens these assertions that it is our internal affair.
So why do you think Modi government would do that?
Yes.
I mean, what's the brain behind? What kind of brain is acting behind all these stupid, bizarre decisions?
Good question. But you must remember, in the meantime, CAA propped up. On 12th of December, Indian Parliament passed this legislation. On 14th of December, Madam Sonia Gandhi exhorted from Ramlila Maidan, asking people to come out in the streets. Rise in revolt. This is a do and die battle. That's what she said. Ye aar paar ki ladai hai. And then you look miserable in front of a bunch of women blocking a road, holding an entire capital to ransom.
Shaheen Bagh.
Yes. And
it wasn't a bunch of women. It was official jihadis who brought these women. Many of them were paid. Some were, of course, there out of conviction. And then all the glamorous stars of Bollywood, of the literary world, of the music world, and, were brought there for their entertainment. So it wasn't really a bunch of women, because I don't think they would have had the kind of impact that this well-organized group of jihadis
Indeed they
proved
were.
Their credentials a few days later with Delhi riots.
Madhuji, jihadis use women and children because they are good photo ops, because they are a good ruse, because they make a good political campaign out of it. The point is, it was bunch of women and old men who were lathi charged in the middle of night on 24th of June, on 4th of June.
Wait. You're not now talking of Shaheen Bagh. You're saying, let us contrast the behavior of the government towards Shaheen Bagh, which held the whole city to ransom for nearly 4 months. 4 months?
and
created chaos all over.
And replicated Shaheen Baghs all over the country.
The country. Okay.
Scalable model.
That's right. And compare it with how the government behaved towards, for example,
Against Baba Ramdev.
Baba Ramdev in Ram Leela Maidan.
Who had a permission of 15 days and who wasn't blocking anybody's way and who was conducting yoga abhyas and speeches on corruption, on scams.
Yeah.
Now, why I am contrasting this is people blame police. People blame bureaucracy. It is the same bureaucracy, same police. Only the political leadership was different.
No, but there is a method to this madness. See, Baba Ramdev was persecuted during UPA regime because he was exposing the scams of the Congress party. I think a more relevant comparison point is how the BJP government in Haryana treated the protesters who came out on the streets when Baba Ram Rahim was convicted. And they were also
shot at.
They were 36 people were shot
in a matter of hours.
That's right. Many injured, and the orders were shoot to kill.
Even Rampal.
That's right.
Even the Jat agitation.
Even the Jat agitation. Now, these were not people against the integrity of India.
Yes, they were not challenging the sovereignty.
They just had a demand. They felt aggrieved. They came out on the streets. And they were not out to destroy India or burn the whole city. And yet this is how a BJP government treats them. They were actually peaceful protesters, whereas we weren't sure that Shaheen Bagh was actually run by peaceful people, because within no time...
No, your own government actually gave details of how accounts have been stuffed with money by PFI and how that money was finding its way into sustaining an agitation.
PFI ka history chota sa bata do. Not everybody knows PFI.
Popular Front of India is based in the state of Kerala.
That's right.
It has militarized itself. It is the most virulent form of jihad because it talks about armed struggle. For a ruse, they carry the tricolor and they call themselves patriotic. But their linkages, their money trails, their motivations, all of it point to the fact that they are linked with lethal organizations like ISIS, where their cadres go and fight on their behalf in Syria and Iraq, where they make recruitments in this country.
And government was itself admitting that this whole tamasha in Shaheen Bagh is being backed and supported by PFI. And yet, it took no firm measure, and even the police seemed petrified of approaching anywhere near Shaheen Bagh. The whole area was sanitized since we are very close to that area. I know when residents of Sarita Vihar tried to go and protest there peacefully to saying, you can't hold us to ransom, they were lathi charged repeatedly. Anytime they went to protest, they said, don't go anywhere near them.
Can you imagine?
And they were lathi charged. They were stuffed in buses and packed off and then dropped some 50 miles away from their homes. That's how the government was treated.
Government was dishing out invitations to people at Shaheen Bagh. Lieutenant Governor spent 4 hours with them. I don't know, discussing what. Home Minister said, I am waiting in my office. Why doesn't anyone show up? The point is...
No, but they kept saying, you come here. Why should we come to you?
Absolutely.
I mean, no agitation has ever said this to a Prime Minister. You have to come here. We're not even bothered to come to your office.
And it showed its real intent when Mr. Trump came visiting.
That's right.
They burnt Delhi. They butchered unarmed citizens. They had a blooming riot on our hands.
Including government officers.
Absolutely. An IB officer.
An IB officer.
Ankit Sharma.
Yes. Hacked in the most brutal form.
Hundreds of stab wounds on his body.
That's
Eyes gouged out.
That's right.
Now, the point is, it showed... In fact, on 18th of December, Madhuji, at Jafrabad or Salampur, one of these places, Salampur, there was a boy called Rais who was carrying a live bomb and it blew in his hands. Now, people don't make live bombs as part of their craft and, some socially useful, productive work kind of assignment from school. Live bombs are not made in some solitary experiment. You make bombs, several bombs. This was one of them he was carrying, and he wasn't out on a stroll.
Yeah. But there too, if it hadn't been for the fact that Hindus actually retaliated, they got tired of waiting for the government to protect them. Absolutely. So there was a good amount of retaliation by organized groups of Hindus. Or was it a spontaneous retaliation?
When you see government abdicating responsibility, when you see lethal preparations to cook your goat, when you see mobs rampaging, burning cars with impunity, hundreds of cars were burnt, a petrol pump was set on fire, shops were looted, gutted, people were snatched, dragged into buildings, and then they never showed up.
And chopped into pieces.
So what do you expect? Government was missing. In the capital of this country, under the very nose of this Prime Minister and Home Minister, this city burned. Because you were unwilling to act for 3 months.
True.
So, when you see these things, you realize why things are happening in Kashmir the way they were. There is this pattern of almost paralysis. Either lack of willingness to see what was happening, or lack of courage or guts to do something about it.
Also, coming to the U-turn, after scrapping 370 or neutering 370, assurances were given soon after. Don't worry, we're bringing in Article 371 to be applied to J&K.
Yes, we ask of us, tell us what you want, as if the coffers were open again. As if 370 was just some kind of symbolism government had to do, but in substance, we are willing to give you whatever you ask for. If not in as many words, but that is what was meant. And that is what got the busybodies from Kashmir lining up in Delhi, asking for specific demands like put the state back, give us protection, but you have 371 in your constitution, give us this guarantee, give us that guarantee. So all this clamor began all over again.
Yeah, but you see, there's another connected part to this story. A lot of leading voices, politicians of Kashmir, were put under house arrest or not in jail. I mean, that's something very special. They are put in 5-star hotels. They are arrested in their
tourist homes, log huts, luxury,
5-star hotels,
state paid for,
holding them and feeding them in luxury. But against the biggest offenders, there is not really any serious case, even though they were openly calling for sedition.
Absolutely.
Their demands were seditious. They're provoking people of Kashmir to not just revolt, but burn the whole country almost.
Yes. It was threatened in as many words. Mehbooba Mufti, as Chief Minister, said, if you even as much as touch 35A, it's not just the hand would get singed, the entire body will turn to ashes, will burn.
That's right.
And she said, Kashmir will be on fire, India will be on fire.
That's right.
And there'll be no one to bear the tricolour in Kashmir. This was called to arms. This was called to revolt. Till date.
The Abdullahs did the same?
Absolutely.
Similar statements?
Omar Abdullah is on record having said, if 370 goes, we are back to pre-accession status.
That's right.
Kashmir will have nothing to do with India.
But no case really against them?
So the point is, it's not just of what he said.
So why did you hold them if you have no case against them?
You see, you may say that there's freedom of expression in this country. People can say what they wish to. But where is a white paper on their misdeeds? What they have done when they ruled?
That's right.
For example, who is culpable for bringing thousands of Rohingyas and putting them up in the government land at Bhatindi in Ladakh in Kashmir, in the most sensitive areas, near Sunjwan army camp.
That's right.
Can there be a white paper on it, because there hasn't been a bigger breach of national security and compromising a sensitive demography as Rohingyas being brought in by thousands? They're still there.
Not one Rohingya has been deported yet. Not one.
They're still there.
And not only not deported, but not even asked to move from those sensitive locations where these populations use their presence to lend support and shelter to terrorists who attack the Air Force base, who attack the army bases. No action.
So,
how do you explain this?
Madhuji, on the contrary, government sends emissaries to these people living in comfort of their homes, literally beseeching them.
And what kind of emissary? Please explain that also. Mr.
Amarjit Singh Dullat.
Yes. That's right. One of the most compromised intelligence officials that India's ever produced.
You know, I've never seen two rival spy agency chiefs co-authoring a book.
That's right.
And going around the world talking about it.
Yeah, Dullat co-authored a book with the chief of Pakistan's spy agency,
General Asad Durrani.
That's right.
That General Asad Durrani was denied visa for a launch function of this co-authored book in Delhi. And you know who all attended that function despite government denying visa to Asad Durrani? The Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh.
That's right. And lot of...
Mani Shankar Iyer.
That's right.
I mean, the who's who of top Indian political scene.
Yep. And they celebrated the book.
And Asad Durrani joins on Skype.
That's right.
The point is, we have a Pakistan within. We don't need one just on the border.
No, but you see, that we knew, which is why the Congress government was thrown out with such determination and reduced to a very small minority, even within Lok Sabha. Now, the point is, we weren't prepared for a Pakistan within BJP government, Modi-led government. That's something we weren't prepared for. But so many decisions are coming which make it appear as if even Modi government is held hostage by the Pakistani agencies.
So guess what? On 8th of February, the former finance minister, Mr. Altaf Bukhari, who was Mehbooba Mufti's finance minister, on 8th of February, I think it was a Sunday, he announces the launch of Apni Party.
Apni J&K party.
J&K Apni Party.
J&K Apni Party.
And this Apni Party is a ragtag coalition of discards and rejects from various parties. Some are National Conference, some are Congress, some are PDP. And they say that we are going to kickstart the democratic process in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And we represent the aspirations of people. I am surprised. There was a delegation of 24 that came.
Got a meeting with the Prime Minister. And told him what to do, what not to do. They actually gave him instructions, it seems.
Incredible.
And the Prime Minister apparently gave them assurances of sorts.
You know, you cannot get in with your camera or photographer or even your cell phones inside that house. So all the pictures taken are by the Prime Minister's photographers, official photographers. So therefore pictures distributed to mass media were with his consent, because he wanted the world to know that Mr. Altaf Bukhari has Prime Minister's ear. And that his delegation found more than an hour with a busy Prime Minister, conferring with them the starting off of democratic process. When? This happens within 2 days of Farooq Abdullah being released in Kashmir. So
that
such is
after Dullat went and gave him certain assurances.
Yes.
And Abdullah comes out and says what? Why don't you share that?
So, you know,
his statements after coming out.
So I thought that after a few months of, being in a chiller, he would be chastened, and he would, as his wont is, reassure the country that he's always been pro-India, like he does.
He used to do that during Congress regimes.
With great flourish.
Yes.
He would say Bharat Mata ki Jai.
That's right.
But
not this time.
He would sing Ramdhun. But here, he looked like a cat that had been to the cream jar. He was triumphant. He was received by none other than Ghulam Nabi Azad. Both looked triumphant in front of cameras, and they started dictating terms. They said, release so-and-so, release so-and-so, and review your decisions about the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and we'll talk about things when time comes.
That's right.
Within a matter of days, his son was also released. Now, this is how you want to kickstart democratic process in the state of Jammu and Kashmir with discredited and tainted leaders.
Especially Bukhari. Now, apart from all the taints that the Abdullahs have earned and Mehbooba Mufti has earned, but Altaf Bukhari, not too long ago, his car was caught carrying RDX.
2018.
2018?
His Honda Accord, full of RDX.
That's right. And lot of money, Hawala money.
The man is known as Mr. Moneybags. He has links cutting across party lines, including Hurriyat. And he is no popular leader in Kashmir.
He's one of the most disliked leaders.
And he cannot win an election on his own from anywhere.
And then the grapevine has it that Prime Minister has decided to patronize this party, started by one of the most discredited politicians with open terror links to
so after they meet
the democratic process. No, but Sushil, I think
after they meet the Prime Minister on Friday, they meet the Home Minister on Monday for 2.5 hours. The same delegation of 24 along with Altaf Bukhari. So, no, what are the signals you are sending? The issue is you can meet whoever you wish to. When you go about singing about it all over the world, when you click pictures with them, you are sending a signal.
That's right.
You're sending a signal. What signal are you sending to the people of Jammu and Kashmir? What kind of people are going to start the democratic process all over again in Kashmir? Are these the faces? Are these the track records who would carry your message to the people? What are their credentials? What have they done? And who are you hitching on to for the future of Kashmir? Farooq Abdullah? Omar Abdullah? Altaf Bukhari? Even, I'm saying, even if you have to prop up people, there is somebody called Muzaffar Beg who's actually paying second, third fiddle to Mr. Bukhari in that party, not the other way around. He's far more senior. And what happened to...
Muzaffar Hussain Beg was also willing to join Lone's party.
So where is Sajjad Lone?
But no, Muzaffar Hussain has been given Padma Shri or Padma Vibhushan this year by Modi government. Doing what?
No, but what was Sajjad Lone given Shyama Prasad Mukherjee award for? He's still in jail. You don't even want to show him, bring him out. I mean, what credit does it do to the memory of Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee? Forget Sajjad Lone for a moment.
Who laid his life to protest Nehru's decision to enable Abdullah to get away with Article 370.
When Jansangh had all of just three members in parliament, he did not wait.
And he was done to death in Kashmir's jail by Abdullah. And Nehru did not allow even a post-mortem to be done on his body. No investigation. And he was one of the great iconic symbols of BJP's and Jansangh's and RSS's resolve to integrate Kashmir and undo the historic wrongs done by Nehru. And here we are. Yes, you're right.
His mother, Jogmaya Devi, who received the body, kept asking that please make an inquest. He has not died a natural death. There have been more than a dozen prime ministers since. Several governments, all parties, one after the other. not even one Prime Minister or government has so far asked for even
a report on what happened to him. How did he die? That's right.
So the point is, coming back to what is happening in the state of Jammu and in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, is that these series of missteps, you curry favor with a party, you start releasing some political leaders who you go hammer and tong against for being singularly responsible for the state of Jammu and Kashmir, for the state it is in. And then you are seen to be backtracking and bringing Article 370 from the back door through a gazetted notification when the entire country is grappling with a lockdown. When the only news in newspapers and news channels is about how many are infected and how many are dead, and how to deal with this instruction or that instruction, clap today and sing tomorrow, and light a lamp thereafter. While we are being fed these instructions, quickly a notification is slipped through, 45-page notification on 31st of March, which says now Kashmir will have a privileged class of citizens, those who've lived there for at least 15 years.
Now these are domicile rules. The whole idea of scrapping Article 35A was because it created different categories of citizenry. Those who and absurd rules as to who could qualify to be a state subject and who did not. Now, after that is scrapped, then these new domicile rules. Now the point is, why does J&K need a special domicile policy or a special domicile law after scrapping 35A, which created the conditions for that?
Actually, Punjab has 0 years.
Most
Telangana has 0 years.
Most states have
Orissa has 1
year.
UP, Bihar, Delhi has probably 3 years.
But the more significant point for me is this. It's not as if Kashmiri Muslims are required to have domicile proof.
What for?
No. The point I'm making is they insist on restrictions on state subject qualifications, right? They want to prevent people from other states of India to become state subjects or to hold jobs.
Whereas
there.
they want to go everywhere.
Everywhere. There is not...
And do as they please.
Exactly. Either they should be kept within the valley and made clear that since you don't want anybody from outside coming, well, we confiscate all your properties.
It should be on reciprocity.
Absolutely.
So if you say 15 years in Jammu and Kashmir, then if you step out, you will have to suffer the same.
Well, they've actually bought such huge properties, built business empires all over India. I don't know how you're going to handle that. And
no, but why? Tell me a state.
No,
an area.
Explain these domicile rules.
Yes, okay.
The government has resurrected without any reason. It's not even as if people went out on the streets.
Yes.
Demanding.
Nothing.
They burnt Kashmir down.
Nothing.
They happened as very spontaneous.
It is out of the blue.
Gesture.
Nobody asked for
generosity.
it.
That's right.
Nobody asked for it. People are wondering, how does it suddenly appear?
Yes.
So you say 15 years of living in the state will qualify you to be called domiciled in that state. That is defining the domicile. And then they say that these domiciled citizens will have a monopoly over jobs. The 31st of March notification says level 4 jobs which give you 25,000 or below remuneration, salary. All right. Within 3 days, it is revised to all jobs from level 4 jobs.
Level 4 to level up.
All jobs now. All jobs is monopoly of those who lived there for 15 years. Who are you doing this for? Why are you? Who's asking you to do this?
For Bangladeshis, I mean.
What are you doing this for?
Yeah, because Kashmiris already have domicile. Those who've lived there already have it. Now your job was to facilitate all those Kashmiri Pandits who have been forced to leave the valley, and their children and their grandchildren to be able to claim their rights.
But
what was the highest priority.
But what they did was, through this domicile, they disenfranchised people. The way they define domicile, they say those Kashmiri Hindus who have left the valley but have registered in Jammu. So what about those who have not registered in Jammu? What about those who have not registered at all? This notification was silent about it, which means those Hindus who did not stay in Jammu once they fled Kashmir, who stayed in different other state capitals, were
or
disenfranchised.
Even cities,
yes, or who went abroad, or who just didn't register because they didn't want to depend on the state. You don't know where they live, which means you are disenfranchising them. And when a hue and cry went up, it took them 45 days to correct it. They have done a notification on 15th of May, just 10 days back, to correct that. So this is the level of apathy.
Application of mind.
Completely.
Or is it vindictiveness towards their own people?
This shows...
I mean, no government on earth ever acts against its own law-abiding citizens.
You'll find...
This government rewards only those who are out to destroy India.
You'll find this funny. I was talking to bureaucrats, I was talking to journalists, senior people. They say, no, Mr. Pandit, you must understand. There are vulnerable sections where people think that there will be a demographic invasion, an economic invasion, and they will be deprived. I said, when does this happen? When populations are small and they are sparse? I said, hello, there were 2 union territories created on that day. Ladakh is much bigger and more sparse and more vulnerable. Do you have a what is it called? The domicile law for Ladakh? There still isn't one.
True.
So you don't... Ladakh...
And Ladakh has faced demographic invasion, religious demographic invasion from Muslims of not just Kargil but also Kashmir.
Yes.
They've systematically went and planted a large number of Muslims. Also conversions. And
Ladakh is the only geography in India which faces both China and Pakistan.
That's right.
It's that vulnerable.
And yet no protective measures
None.
for Ladakhi Buddhists.
They are not even on the radar. They are not even on the priority. Nobody is even talking about it. Still every policy is Kashmir centric.
Not
Jammu.
See, Jammu at least is a place people are familiar with. Ladakh seems almost like some other country. The way Indian government has treated that whole region, except during Kargil war, most people actually not aware that that part is so vital for our geopolitical security, and it's not been protected in any measure comparable to its geopolitical importance.
No, even for cosmetic reasons, did Prime Minister ask Altaf Bukhari, I don't see any Sikh in your delegation, any Kashmiri Hindu in your delegation, any Dogra in your delegation. What kind of a party are you representing? And who do you represent?
No, but the Prime Minister is alleged to be patronizing this party.
Yes.
They are in the same way that Atal Bihari Vajpayee had propped up PDP, funded Mufti Muhammad Said to create a PDP. I mean, this came out much later, so that wasn't a homegrown party either. So is Modi then replicating the Vajpayee failed experiment?
I don't know. I think it only proves the dictum that tragedies, first occur. History first occurs as tragedy.
And then as farce.
And then reoccurs as farce.
That's right.
So we have history coming twice over.